What's going on, everybody? This your boy King Gabe here, and we're here with the first update of Yumeko Novel number 2. Yes, I mentioned before in the previous video that I had started on the second book a little bit. The first book is I have to check on it to see if my proofer has started. Yeah, probably. Probably has, but yeah, I'll be checking up on that this weekend there to see if the proofs have started. That way, you know, somewhere between I say the end of this month or some point in February, maybe can get it out. Um, say might possibly be March when the book comes out. Like I say, it just all depends on how long the proofing takes there. Because then I gotta then I gotta make sure do a final edit and all that, as well as also find, well, not so much find, but also determine, let's say the best publisher. I stated before, I think if I hadn't, stating it now, that my previous books have been published through Amazon Kindle Direct, which used to be CreateSpace years ago. Well, not that many years ago. 2010, when I first started publishing, it was CreateSpace, and eventually it became Amazon Direct, which that's what it is now. So I have been using that on previous books I published. Um, but now I kind of want to try to move up a little bit in the publishing where it can be on the shelves of the local bookstores here in my area, and maybe possibly some bookstores outside of my area, more than likely. If not, it still would be online. It was still, for sort of like, if you, sort of like when I order some of the stuff that I get that's not here in my area locally, I have to order from, outside of the state or something like that, something like that. But at least, with it here locally in my area, a lot of people that I know around here can, just walk right in Barnes and Noble and pick it up there. So, yep, there's that. And you can still order, it from me, just like the books that I already do have. You can still, you know, request an order from me directly for it when it comes out. As of now, definitely get some of the books that I do have out, most of the comic books. Order those to help support the channel, as well as like, share, subscribe, and also support us on Patreon, like EJ the Supreme, or be a sponsor to the channel, or you can do both. Yep, either one. We'll definitely appreciate it, and like I say, definitely check out the books that we do have already out there, and be ready to get yourself a copy of your Miracle Novel 1 when it arrives. We'll definitely let you know when that happens. Like I say, depending on how long between the proofs and getting the publish, because like I say, upgrading to trying to get it in the local bookstore and stuff like that, and still online, it's probably gonna cost a little. Cause I've been some of the stuff on Facebook, probably gonna be a little costly. However, hopefully it don't be like no $1,000 there, because the first time I ever had a book published, my first Heroes of Dream book is, oh boy, yeah, that's kind of what it was ranging, like $1,000, a little over that maybe. Yeah, yeah, like I say, a little costly, but we don't want, like I say, we don't want it to be so much that it'd be like, okay, now how you gonna get the next book out there? So yeah, like you say, and so that's what's gonna be going on that end, as far as when the first book will possibly come out. I do plan for it to come out, yeah, but that's more than likely gonna be the next month or March, yeah, like I said. Um, so now, yeah, it's getting to the update on the second book of what I've been writing in this rough draft at the moment, while waiting on the proofing and then going to the publishing for the first book. Previously in Yumeko Book 1, yes, I actually wrote that. I have wrote that before in some of my early novels there, like previously on Heroes of Dreams, stuff like this, or like watching a TV show. So previously in Yumeko Book number 1, okay, Hiko and Samuel came to Yumeko for the first time. They wanted to find Brownie, blah blah blah. So yeah, pretty much what's happened in the first book. Yeah. Now we go into the. So far, I got 2 chapters and a little bit of chapter 3, just a little bit of it. So mo and so yeah, it's pretty much. So that's pretty much what I got on this. So we're gonna let's talk about what is there so far. The first chapter of this book is Emily's Suspicion. No, Emily was the black cat that just joined the fire station in the first book. So chapter starts where she decides to check up on Dashtail. Shortly after she had talked with Brownie, kind of. This particular scene of the book sort of goes a little bit more into. Remember when goes right at the start of the scene where like Flora had showed up and was telling Brownie about Hiko and Samuel and Naomi being in danger. Sorry. So now we get it from Emily's point of view, where she was intentionally coming to check up on Dashdale, and she ends up hearing all that Flora's saying, and like I got everybody in danger. It's all my fault. So it's like, okay, calm down, Flora. We're gonna get them out. Emily comes in wanting to help. She had wanting to help with rescuing Hiko and his friends. There's definitely, and they tell her not. They tell her no because it's a beyond fire emergency, and she needs training for that. Like she's getting training just to be, a firefighter, but before you just go on a beyond fire emergency, which is pretty much the equivalent of a superhero, also like sending out Iron Man. You need some training for that there, some preparations, or like I just mentioned, like how Iron Man had to prepare himself before, being Iron Man, as well as the Avengers. So, this. So yes, I tell her to stay behind. Excuse me. Flora wants to help, but of course, Brownie tells her to stay at the fire station as well, because doesn't want her to end up getting in any danger like Hiko and Samuel them are. Emily states like, I think you helped enough, Flora. Like, what is that supposed to mean? Well, based on the confession I overheard, you're the reason those kids are in danger in the first place. I told them not to go in. Yeah, after leading them into the danger. What are you trying to say, kitty cat? Now, you see here, don't you ever call me kitty. Well, stay out of business. I'm going to teach you some risk. And Brownie has to break them up there before it becomes a cat fight. No pun intended. This argument between Emily and Flora actually is a major reference to back in Brownie Reactions with like I say, the character that my former co-writer back then played, which was CJ from Descendants, of course, a different version of her, because the only version of CJ that is in the original Disney Descendants was in Wicked World, the series, and not the movie. So, it was a reaction to the Mike Myers Cat in the Hat movie, and there was an argument between CJ and Brownie of why some trouble that she had got into, and Brownie was like, "You may should have thought about this before you just up and left." She's like, "Look, I'm a fairy troll." And say, "We don't have time to think about what our actions is." Well, maybe you should make some time. Who do you think you are, my dad or something? I'm I'm 14 years old, so I am practically an adult. Which is kind of ironic because, technically speaking, 14 is still a teenager. And of course, the character CJ doesn't age, so she's stuck as a 14-year-old fairy troll. But her voice actress, of course, is a young adult. Ironic there. And yeah, so it's sort of a reference to that. So they say, hey, Mr. Fluff was like, okay, we need to focus on the rescue. So of course, Mr. Fluffles, Brownie, and Gerald, they all leave out. Billy, of course, heads out with them because he has to get the fighter planes ready again. So it's just Dashtail and Flora left behind along with Emily. But of course, Flora's like, look, I'm just gonna go home since I can't even be trusted around here. And Emily's like, don't you even try that manipulative guilt trip with me. So you're gonna stay here like Brownie asks. Excuse me, who do you think you are, my mom? Yeah, going back to that, what I just mentioned about the cat and the hat reaction. You can't tell me what to do, especially after you barged in here accusing me. I called it like I see it. Well, call and see this. And she just sprouts fairy wings and vanishes into fairy dust. Pretty much poofing somewhere else there, like a fairy. And that line, yeah, well, like after Emily said, well, I call it like I see it. When Flora says back, well, yeah, well, call and see this. There was a scene in Beast Wars similar to that in I think like the final episodes of the series, which had like 3 seasons. So this was the finale of the series. Optimus versus Optimus Primal went to face off with Megatron, and Megatron was like, "Well, let's have it. Let's have the whole Destiny and Honor speech." And Optimus was like, "Look, speech this." Yeah, the speech this. And I also imagine that in an episode of SpongeBob once the one where Sandy was hibernating and sort of looked like a monster bear. That's what my Big Papa thought she was, a bear in that episode, and she was really savage, and SpongeBob was like, Sandy, I'm warning you. And when she did that roar, I look back at that and I imagine after SpongeBob saying I'm warning you, her saying, warn this, warn this. Like Fred Sanford, warn this duck. Oh boy, okay. Reminding me of too much now. Say I'm going in one of them ongoing trains like we talk about in English class. So, second chapter. Gotta jump off the train. Warping confusion. So, the second chapter. Before I go into that, what this is leading to, I think I mentioned in one of my when I was talking about the first book in one of the videos earlier, that there was a chapter in the first book where Granny and Big Papa got sent off into a warp, and we didn't know where, and it's not told where the warp is leading to, but we find out in this book, it's actually going to send them into the Dragon's Den. If you hadn't seen any of the previous videos of the first book update, the thing is, this was where Big Papa and Granny end up in the Dragon's Den. It's a skeleton dragon that they're going to be facing, and it's actually a little reference nod to back when I was in middle school. We was getting ready for my granny's birthday, and what happened? Everybody setting up the surprise party, and I was for a moment I was playing Super Mario Brothers on my Nintendo back then, and I had just got to the final warp zone, and it took a while to face to find the dragon. Eventually, I did win. Of course, Bowser and Mario. Eventually, I did win, but it took a while to find him because the way the den was set up, like you had to go in an exact certain pattern. Otherwise, it would keep sending you back a certain. It would keep sending you back so far until you got it right. So as I was trying to figure it out, I imagined in Mario's place, my granny and Big Papa in their car, like when we be like back then when we used to go places and they be trying to find where the place was, like maybe try to like no, you need to turn over here, no, turn this way. I imagine them in Mario's place trying to find the dragon, and it's like no, you go down this tube here, no, go straight no, go down the tube. almost similar to the Incredible scene. No, take the next exit. That'll take me downtown. I told you to take the next exit. I said that'll take me downtown. Downtown, downtown. Always about the downtown. So yeah, so it's kind of a reference to those things. More so the Dragon's Den, because that's where they are. Duh. So yeah, more so that. So because of that, since it's from something Mario related, I decided, yeah, well, let's reference some more. So what happens? They're on the interstate, and they don't realize that they've gone through the warp until all of a because it looks as if they're still on Interstate 59 because they're supposed to go down Interstate 30 and exit to 59. Originally here in Shreveport, that would be the equivalent of exiting off of Interstate 20 on the 49. So when they get on 59, they go through the warp, not knowing it. Looks like they're still on 59, but they started to notice, and Granny's driving, by the way, and they noticed there's no exits. Like you on the freeway, you usually would see signs like, okay, exit here. Even if the exits were a distance between each other, or maybe, it was a while before you get to an exit, you would still see some signs indicating like, okay, you're right, this exit, or so many miles to this, like say for instance, 10 miles to Alexandria, or 15 miles to Houston or something like that. Yeah, you would see stuff like that, but there is none of that. It's just straight freeway. And they're wondering like, what in the world? Can't dash it? Like, did I take the wrong exit? Like, well, this should be Interstate 59. Then suddenly, some dark storm clouds appear, covering the sky, and instead of rain and lightning and thunder, and ironic, it's okay, I hear it now. It's raining right now. Good. Fortunately, we don't have thunder and lightning today. So it's just raining there. So yeah, it's not quite so rough out there this morning. But instead of any of that coming out of these dark clouds, skulls come from the clouds. As they say in one of the nostalgic critics reviews, skulls, nothing but skulls. But maybe with a skull, nothing but skulls. So, like, what the devil? Skulls. So it's a bunch of skulls falling from the sky. Granny kind of freaks out and she stops the car suddenly. But remember, they're driving down a freeway, which means they're going anywhere between 60 to 70 miles an hour, anywhere from 60 to 70, maybe possibly 75, and 75, or could be even 80, because I think like the highest speed limits a lot of times go on freeways is like 75. And a lot of times people have a tendency to drive 5 over the speed limit, and they still, they don't get stopped unless, like, say if the speed limit was 70, somebody going down 75, police see them, they're like, no, let them go. But all of a sudden they see them coming like at 80 or more. Whoop! Don't. Sir, do you realize how fast you were going? You were going at 85 miles. You have to pay the speeding ticket. So, That's so yeah. Anywhere between that and the force of putting on her brakes suddenly causes the car to spin around and crash into some of the skulls, which knocks them off the freeway. That's actually the car knocking these skulls off of the freeway at that speed is actually a similar reference to Mario Brothers again. When when you're Super Mario, whether you're small, big, or have firepower, when you get that gold star, you become invincible no matter what. And that so while you're invincible, you just run through the enemies, and the enemies just start getting just knock off the screen and fall. And so all of them just go flying off the screen. So that happened. But then so then eventually the car stopped spinning. Of course, so the remaining skulls that's on the ground now, they start sprouting these spider-like legs from the bottom of them and start slowly approaching the car. And much like the skeletons that Hiko and Samuel had to face at the abandoned store, they would they're already coming, slowly, but they constantly stop every few minutes. I might need to change that. Let's see. Do one, two, hey. Oh yeah. So I probably change it to every few seconds. Yeah, I probably should change that. Every few seconds, they would stop. Do hey. Do hey. Do hey. Point and say hey. You're probably wondering, well, why would they do that? I don't know. They just do. That was what the skeletons would do in the Spooky Castle game for some reason. At least that's what it sounded like they were saying when they did it. It sounded like they were going, hey, duh, 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 hey, duh, 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 duh. But it is kind of creepy. Whatever reason they do that, it is still kind of creepy. And then the fact you got skeletons coming towards you is just creepy in general, even if they don't do it. Or the fact that you got skulls with spider legs on the freeway. So, so they drive. So first thing, Big Papa's like, well, just drive through them really fast. Seeing as how they were able to knock the other ones off the freeway, and they do that, knock all the skulls off the freeway. Accidentally put skeletons, supposed to be skulls. Then an exit finally appears, but it doesn't say the name of the exit. It's a blank sign indicating that there's an exit. They take it, get off. They pull right onto the street, and then kind of go a little distance down and pull over to the side of the road to stop the car for a second, kind of catch the breath and everything. So like, what do we do now? Big Papa thinks for a moment and is like, well, let's drive around until we can find someone that can help us get back on track to find the boys. And Granny's like, okay, but you're driving this time, because I've had enough of this, I gotta rest, I just drove through a bunch of freaking skulls with spider legs. No. So of course, now, so we got that going on. Then we get more detail with that last scene in the first book, when Ramon and Shanice Harper appeared, introducing themselves, of course. Now here's the little added detail to that scene. When Brownie's like, how could I possibly forget that little witch? W-I-T-C-H. Just making sure. W-I-C-T. No, wait. W-I-T-C-H. Make sure it's the witch, like the Wicked Witch of the West. Make sure to make that clear. just in case. It will be like, oh, you better enunciate. Enunciate. I don't want somebody like my speech teacher coming up talking about, say that. You don't put that tongue back in your mouth. Almost like Mike Epps, like what Mike Epps said about one of his teachers. They talking about they 17 years old, seniors in high school, but the regular bell doesn't dismiss them. Nah, it's this little bell on the teacher's desk. Ding 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 ding. Hey, it's time for y'all to take a nap. Heck, you take a nap. Say, so, they telling me to take a nap. I'm 17 years old. Say, ain't taking no nap. Say, ooh, say, take this dunce cap off and put it on your head. Say, no. Oh boy. So anyway, um, but yeah, it's like, aw, you angry? I tried to make your show more interesting. My programming would have made you popular, Brownie. Don't you want to be popular? Which is another reference to one of the Brownie Reacts episodes when he was going to look at Scooby Doo Zombie Island, but end up watching the first live action Scooby Doo movie, which was a lot different than my review that I did much later after that, because it was supposed to be a hate of the movie back then, and yeah, it was like talking about, well, don't you know YouTubers get popular by reviewing stuff that they hate? Don't you want to be popular like them? And a picture of a random YouTuber. Say, almost, almost like a deal with the devil kind of thing there. He's like, your program severely hurt my live audience, especially bringing that movie Hollow Vision to life. Definitely check out my channel under fan made videos. There's a fan made trailer called Hollow Vision. It's a little something I made up. I didn't actually make a movie Hollow Vision. I just made up a trailer for fun. But it's on the channel. Look under fan made videos. So I referenced that in here. It's like, wait a minute. Big Papa once told me that movie wasn't suitable for children. Just like Bobby's Mask. Bobby's Mask. That is actually the equivalent. Like how Arthur has Bionic Bunny, which is their Superman, and Dark Bunny, which is their Batman. Bobby's Mask. Now Hollow Vision actually. Now I actually did not notice when I made up that trailer. I was just putting together some random like scenes from like Ghostbuster, vampire movies, and Twilight, and just some random scary stuff together, and said, "Hey, you're trapped in the TV." Found out about a few months ago from Queen Tina, that there was a movie. I think it was called Stay Tuned. I think it was. Yeah, let me bring it up so I can make sure I say the title right. Let's see. Stay Tuned. Yeah, Stay Tuned. Which was about a guy who was actually trapped in the TV. He was trapped in the TV, which by Satan himself, putting him in a hellish dimension. So yeah, pretty much like that. Pretty much I guess one could say a reference to that there. But funny, I did not know that at the time I made the fan trailer. So I did not know I was referencing this. Because I didn't know about the movie until Christina told me. So, yeah, so kind of a reference to that. Bobby's Mask is actually a movie reference to The Mask. Now, when I say The Mask, a lot of you probably thinking about the Jim Carrey movie, Dun dun, smoking! It's party time. Party. Because I gotta. Dun, 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 dun. So a lot of y'all probably thinking about that movie, which don't get me wrong, is a good movie. Jim Carrey, awesome. But I'm actually talking about what the movie was going to be before they went that direction. Like I say again, I like what we got. It was real funny, real comedical. But we were about to get a dark version of that movie, referring to the original The Mask, because the comic book that the mask is based on is actually a very dark comic. It does involve a guy who put on a mask and starts doing Looney Tune stuff, but yeah, it was not it. Yeah, it wasn't like kid friendly though. Yeah, the mask character was kind of a kind of a bit R rated and was doing some very dark stuff there. Yeah, you have to for the adults, not the kids. For the adults, I'll look that up and get more detail on that. But that's what Bobby's Mask is sort of referencing. And also, there was another fan trailer on this channel called "The True Horror of the Mask" that I made up with scenes from Son of the Mask, the sequel to the Mask, making it as if it was a horror film. Kind of kind of inspired from when I actually met Jamie Kennedy in person at a Geek Con that we had. I think the one I want to say this. I think it was this year. Yeah, this year's Geek Con. Um, Not wait, no. I take that back. Wasn't this year? 2022. Yes. 22. So one that we went to in 2022. We met Jamie Kennedy and also Matthew Lillard in person. Real nice people. Jamie Kennedy even we cause I had Brownie with me at the con. Jamie Kennedy looked and said, "Hey, that's a cool dog." Yeah, so he was real cool. But yeah, as you know, he was in the Mask sequel, and he has some videos on his channel that explains what some of the Mask was going to be before we got what we got, and how him and the director of the movie really feel about it. There, how they felt, even though they did the movie, but how they personally felt about the movie, what we got and what we almost got. So. So yeah, be sure to check that out. So yeah, that's what Bobby's Mask is a reference to. Say so. First thing he goes like, well, the only way you could have brought that movie to life is by seeing the movie. So how in the world did your parents allow you to see that? And Shanice is like, whoever said my parents allowed me to see it? I've been able to see a lot of things that your parents would never show you. And yeah, which obviously that still goes on today, probably more so. But even back like when I was growing up, like in the '90s and stuff, yeah, you now for the most part, yeah, you did. A lot of parents, uh, growing up in my time, like my mom and stuff like that, like my mom and my grandparents, a lot of them, yeah, were real good with okay, this is no, you no, son, you can't see this. You're not old enough to see this movie yet. Sort of like when Nutty Professor first came out, and my mom had rented it, and her and a friend of hers, they were about to look at it, and I was in the room. Thing was, and I was like elementary, by the way. I was elementary, but she had forgot to look at the rating before they started to look at it, and just as it started, when it got to the scene where Sherman was looking upside down at Jada Pinkett's character, do 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 do. Oh just as that scene played, my mom had got a good look at the rating on. She's like, "Oh, no, Gabriel, you can't see this. Go to your room." Mom, now, Gabe. So, yeah. So a lot of parents coming up. By the way, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I got upset, but good parenting. Sometimes good parenting is gonna make your kids upset. I'm just saying, yeah. Cause hey, I got upset at some of the stuff that was said, but sometimes, yeah, that's the thing. You you're not always going to agree with the choices of good parenting, but at least when when you get older, yeah, you look back and like, yeah, I'm glad she did that, yeah. Cause there's definitely some things, yeah, I'm definitely glad that I was told no to, because yeah, I probably would have went in a different direction if I wasn't told no on some things. So yeah, yeah. Thank God for that. but yeah, most of the cases, parents were really good with that. You know, like making sure the kids saw what was appropriate for their age and stuff like that. And I did eventually get to see Night Professor when I got in middle school. So, but the thing is, there were some kids. Even it was now I didn't get to see a lot of them, so it kind of seemed rare that this happened. And nowadays, like I say, I'm not saying everybody, but nowadays, a lot of parents now, again, not everyone, but a lot of parents now, more so than back then, just sort of don't really care. Don't really care. They just put their like I seen some parents taking their kids to see Deadpool and the movie, and also the movie Get Out. Like really? And of course Logan. And I say those three because all three of them are R rated, and they had little elementary kids in the theater with them. Some of them preteen, but still R rated films. um, but yeah, but there were a few back when I was growing up that were exposed to some pretty dark stuff. Which kind of is why there were some kids I knew, not a whole lot, but a few kids I knew that actually even tried to get me to cuss sometime, like some really, like really tried to get me to do a sailor mouth, as SpongeBob would call it. So, like, I don't think so. So, yeah, you had that. So Shanice is kind of like those rare kids back in the day that were exposed to some dark stuff, and would be on the playground trying to get another kid to say a certain word and stuff like that. Yeah, you had that. Nowadays, that's not such a big for most kids. That's not such a big deal. They just that like I seen video, especially the movie Us. Yeah, they both the parents and the kids were cussing around each other like a normal day of life. Whoa, we're saying that now. Ooh, as Eddie Murphy say, if that was me, if I almost slipped the swear word back then, like, what did you say again? I no, 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 I didn't say it. It was just an accident. I didn't say it. I didn't say it. Wait. No, 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 no. I didn't say it. So, yeah, that was but yeah, not such a big, yeah, not quite the same nowadays there. So, yeah, like I said, that's what it's a reference to there. Um, then she looks over at Brownie and is like, sometimes you have to break a few rules in order to and suffer to be popular in order to raise your ratings, my pet. I am not your pet. And yeah, that was another. And Brownie reacts, yeah, my co-writer's version of Mal from Descendants, which was supposed to be darker than the Disney version, and not so kid friendly. Always call Brownie my pet, or like the Wicked Witch of the West. Actually, she would say my pretty, but I think it was. I can't think. It may have been the witch. I'm not sure, but somebody said my pet. But anyway, that's what Shanice says, and Brownie's like, no, I'm not. So then, of course, everybody sent through another warp. They Ramon laughs along with Shanice, saying, "Now the game begins." And now here's a little bit of the third chapter I got, and what it's possibly going to lead into. Now, of course, next time I do an update video, I will have a confirmation of what this is going to lead into. But I'm going to give you an assumption. The assumption might be correct. Might hear me repeat the assumption, or it might be, but maybe a little slightly different. But here's what I got. So a little bit of chapter 3. Emily, since she had to stay behind, and obviously Billy and Dashtail are still there. She has Billy searching for Flora's location after she, disappeared, like a, poof. And the Fire Command's computer tracks Flora by her fairy dust. that she left behind and eventually locates her at Brownie's house. Emily decides to go down there. Like, okay, I'm gonna see what that little pixie is up to. Emily, I think you're blowing this whole thing out of proportion. How can you say that when she's the reason those kids are in danger? Look, I understand she messed up, but I just don't think she intended to put them in danger on purpose. As like Launchpad said about Darkwing Duck, not on purpose. I don't trust her at all. Something just doesn't smell right about her, and I'm gonna find out what it is. And of course, she drives over to Brownie's house, and that's so written. That's what I got. This is what it's gonna probably lead into. So Flora is, of course, at Brownie's house. It's going to probably lead into how Brown in this chapter, a brief story of just a brief moment, brief flashback. Sorry, okay, a brief flashback of how how Brownie uh, ran across Flora and everything. As well as which is going to be that information Emily's going to be getting from his parents. Yeah, Brownie lives with his mom and dad still, sort of like I did at 21. Like, yeah, I didn't catch that in the last video. Yeah, Brownie is 21. Yeah, um, I say after I graduated, it was 5 years that I still was with my parents, from 18 to 23. Let's see. 'Cause I graduated in '06, so yeah, 2011. That's when I officially was on my own. About let's say in August of 2011, right before my wedding, which was in December of 2011. So, yep, that worked out. But yeah, for 5 years I was still with my parents before officially moving out, and for being here on my own and everything. Now with my wife. So um yeah, he's still with his mom and dad. They let him know about how Brownie and Flora met each other. Then of course you gonna get more with Granny Papa going through the Dragon's Den. Um, how the rescue would probably occur. Um, I'm kind of working out the kinks of that. Um, I'm thinking now it said that they was now what I wrote is that they were separated in the vortex, but I might possibly still go with that. And maybe Hiko and Zayden or either Hiko and Brownie end up in the Dragon's Den, and they end up having to face them and stuff, or they probably are all going to end up back at the firehouse, and there's going to be a way that they'll get into the Dragon's Den, um, which would involve Julie's appearance, Casey's character, um, getting them into the Dragon's Den. So, um, chances. So yeah, like I said, those are the possibilities of where this could go. Um, Also, yeah, you notice I read where I said Flora said I'm going home. Um, that was a major change because at one point it was going to be implied that Flora stayed with Brownie. I mean, yeah, she did go to his house, but she doesn't stay with Brownie though. Flora just kind of goes off and on wherever she wants to go, sort of a stray fairy in Yumeko. There is, and like I say, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, her backstory will be explained there, um, which is yeah, her backstory will be explained, which will also play into a little bit later with something else that's going to be involving her. Um, what was it? Also, there's going to be a bit of a MacGuffin that's going to be involved, that you'll be finding out about in this book there that they're going to have to be trying to collect to get all of and stuff like that. Kind of a race for that, as well as some other things that will happen off and on. Um, One thing I got in mind for book number 3 is definitely going to be a monster called Yandan, which is going to be kind of a reference to a monster from Star Tropics 2. Don't know who all has ever played that game, but I might. If it's not, if you don't see it, if you hadn't seen it already, yeah, I will remember to post that at some point. The walkthrough of the Star Tropics 2 game. That was actually my favorite game in Nintendo, and there's a lot. So there's definitely going to be references to that starting after book 3, with some of the adventures they go on. Of course, we all know that at some point we're going to get more with Sword Girl, her little story coming up, as well as after that, the rebirth of Star Striker. And of course, his the little group of his, Brian, Angela, Monet, and Calvin, and all them, and so on and so on. So, yep, that's all coming up there, and so that's pretty much it for this update. There, you're gonna get more information as we go along, and some update videos a little bit later down the road, as well as also keep y'all updated on the proofing of the first book, as well as the how we what we're gonna do as far as the publishing is concerned. So you're definitely gonna have updates with that, as well as continuation of other videos. I do definitely plan to be back at church Sunday. I have not been to church all last month because they kept having me work on the different Sundays of December. So yeah, as of I'm recording this on January the 4th. I know it's gonna be. I know it's not gonna be. It's gonna be much later when y'all start seeing this video. But yeah, this has been recorded on January the 4th. So January the 7th, Sunday. Yeah, I definitely plan to be back at church after a while, and to say get my praise on, and as well as also a few other things. Other kind of videos coming up. Gonna be some more toy reviews. And there's a reason behind the particular toys I've been reviewing. You'll find out You'll find out eventually, as well as also other videos, other fan videos and randomness and things and things and things. So yeah, definitely be on the lookout for all of that. And with that all said, we will see y'all in the next video. Definitely make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Buy some of my favorite comic books, as well as also sponsor the channel, or be a Patreon like AJ the Supreme, or do both. And we will see you guys later. Take care, everybody.